I painted a picture of a day gone past, an ancient scripture, and a house of glass. People looking through the window, never knowing what they'd find when they couldn't see me. I locked the door and left them behind. The sky will tell me I'm not the only one, and the sky will tell me I must believe the sun. I shut my eyes to not go blind. Things I can't see, I see in my mind. Oh, now the passing clouds of rain actually passed us by.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Reckless Ascension Radio. That was Sky from Raw. Before we get into anything tonight, I do want to take a second to talk about a little bit of gaming news over the weekend, especially if you're an LCS fan and happen to be a TSM fan. Quick note, if you don't want any spoilers on this weekend's matches, you might want to mute Marv for just a couple of minutes. So this weekend, TSM finally managed to get a 2-0 week. We're in our, that was our 8th week. We got one more to go before playoffs. So if you happen to be an LCS fan, you'd be paying attention. We've got Echo Fox and Cloud9 in first place, both at 11 and 5. Clutch and 100 Thieves tied for third at 10 and 6. TSM and Team Liquid tied for fifth at both 9 and 7. Then we've got Counterlogic Gaming in 7th at 7 and 9, FlyQuest in 8th, and then Optic and Golden Guardians being our shitters of the league at 4 and 12 apiece. As I was watching this weekend's games, I noticed TSM looked a lot more decisive. I'm a huge TSM fan. I have been since Season 1. If you're a CLG fan, go jump off a fucking bridge because you're scum. And even then, it looks like they actually managed to beat Echo Fox this weekend. So I suppose there are good things for you, even though they are not doing so well. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and, in celebration of this 8-week momentous occasion, we're going to do a set of 3 songs from League. We're going to start it off with Imagine Dragons and then go into a double shot of Pentakill.
As a child, you would wait and watch from far away, but you always knew that you'd be the one to work while they all play. In youth, you'd lay awake at night and scheme of all the things that you would change, but it was just a dream. Above the rest and prove yourself, your spirit never dies. Farewell, I've gone to take my throne above, but don't weep for me, 'cause this will be the labor of my love.
flames below. Breathes the flames from the dying suns, and lives to wake the dying ones. The dying
All right, welcome back. Take care of some business first. I am going to do a change in format for Reckless Ascension Radio. So we've kind of dipped back and forth between people making requests throughout a night and me putting it in and kind of dealing with that. So Mondays and Fridays, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have set playlists that we're going to go through. And then on Wednesdays, we are going to try this this all request night to kind of see how that works. So if you guys have stuff that you want to hear, please get it in on Wednesdays, and we'll go ahead and get it in. In some other stuff here, I believe Andrew is actually doing a Galantine raffle here in about 40 minutes. So if you're looking to get in that, go ahead and shoot him a message directly. I think he's doing it by random number generator, something to that effect. Lastly, if you did not get your message or your screenshots in, rather, the Fashion Frame event for Warframe ended this Saturday. Congratulations to Suede, Cobalter, and Visteus. I don't know how you pronounce that. Hopefully, I didn't butcher it too bad. So, congratulations to those three. You can still see the screenshots in the Fashion Frame contest, and that'll be up for a couple more days before we go ahead and take that down and get ready for some of the next stuff. So those of you who've been around with us for a while should remember the New Year's party that we kind of threw and had everybody hanging out with on Discord. We are actually going to do something like that again for St. Patty's Day. We will probably do it. I honestly need to talk to some of the other leadership, but I think we're probably looking to do it on Friday night. But I'm not 100% sure on that. We may move it to Saturday if we think we'll have more people show up for it. But we are going to do something very similar. It should be a little bit more organized this time. Last time was just a bunch of chaos. So look forward to that. We'll have some more information in the announcement section probably within a couple days. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and move into the next one, the next set of music. But before I do that, tonight's discussion topic is actually going to be gender roles in society. Now, this isn't necessarily like the 56 gender thing. This is more like, what are men's roles in society? What are women's roles in society? Are they different? Are they the same? Kind of what do we think about that? Now, mostly I can talk about it from a man's perspective and what I see on a daily basis and the way I kind of think things should be. Obviously, mileage is going to vary on that quite a bit, but hopefully it'll get some decent discussion flowing.
Survive.
not be forgotten. Welcome to the pride.
Trusting in the sanity and restraint of the United States is not an option. Go home and die. I'm back to put it in motion. I'm back to tell you no lies. Sit back and sip on this notion. I'm back to put it in drive. I'm back. I'm back to cause a commotion. I'm back to demoralize. Sit back and feel the emotion. I'm back to keep it alive. When the sound goes boom, what you gonna do? Make a move, motherfucker. When the sound goes boom, what you gonna do? Make a move, motherfucker. When the sound goes boom, when the sound goes boom, I'm back to put it in motion. I'm back to re-emphasize. Get back, don't need your promotion. I'm back to keep it alive. I'm back. I'm back because of devotion. I'm back to capitalize. Sit back and feel the explosion. I'm back to put it in drive. I'm back. When the sound goes boom, what you gonna do? Make a move, motherfucker. When the sound goes boom, what you gonna do? Make a move, motherfucker. When the sound goes boom, when the sound goes boom, motherfucker. When the sound goes
I'll put a gun to your head and pull the fucking trigger.
I'm back to put it in motion. I'm back to tell you no lies. Sit back and feel the emotion. I'm back to keep it alive. I'm back. I'm back. When the sound goes boom, what you gonna do? Make a move, motherfucker. When the sound goes boom, what you gonna do? Make a move, motherfucker. When the sound goes boom, when the sound goes boom, motherfucker. When the sound goes
Gun to your head and pull the fucking trigger. I'll put a gun to your head and pull the fucking trigger.
You'll never see, so come dance with me. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, dance with me.
All right, welcome back, everyone. So, earlier I said that we would get into gender roles. So, really, what I'm going to start off with is kind of an introduction to what they're classified as. For those of you who haven't been on the internet for very long, quite frankly, if you're anywhere existing in this space, you've probably heard this talked about quite a bit over the last few years. So gender roles are really things that are defined as by what a man or woman's responsibility in society is. Obviously, this is a little bit different in the Western world than it is, say, the Far East or the Middle East or even Europe. Most of the things that you'll see are like guys getting told to man the fuck up, go out there and just deal with all the shit of the world. Not complain, and do your best. So, I mean, gender roles are a pretty wide definition, and really why this has come up so much recently is there's a lot of talk, and really this started back in, I want to say it was 2014, when Obama came out and said some pretty ignorant shit that that men make on, or I'm sorry, that women on average make 78 cents to the dollar that men make, and how this was horrendously unfair. Anybody who can do basic math understands that this whole statistic is just fucking retarded, because it's comparing doctors to teachers and all this other crazy shit. It doesn't actually talk about like salary. It pulls the statistical lie of comparing things that aren't real to each other, apples and oranges, as it were. And since then, the country's been sort of, at least the extreme side of the country has been wrapped up in this debate about gender roles and, who has it better, and down with the cis white man. Apparently all of us are the ones to blame for all the world's woes. I say us being me. I don't know what you guys are out there. Most of you are probably to a point in your lives where this hasn't even started to affect you yet. But it will, as you get into college and you hear some screaming fucking feminist dyke with their 2-inch hair and shaved sideburns and lip piercings telling you that you are the fucking devil, and all of this other crazy shit. If you're a white man, your life is about to be hell, especially when you hit 18, 19 years old and you get into college, and it's going to get even worse as you go into the workforce. I myself, I can tell you that anywhere I go, if I'm not extremely careful with what I say, then anybody can scream racist or sexist, and I would immediately lose my job. And it gets worse because they tend to travel in packs. So it's like one person's word against usually 6 or 7 of these useless individuals. So part of what I wanted to discuss tonight is the difference in what it means to be a white man or a black man, and or Asian or what the fuck ever else, or what it means to be a woman in modern society, because you see a lot of this white privilege shit go on as well. And really, that's kind of where we're going to pause for just a minute and let you guys kind of think this over, because this is in fact a pretty serious topic. This shit is starting to permeate all throughout the West, between things like affirmative action and diversity quotas in the workplace. God help you if you're in the STEM field right now and you happen to be a white guy, you're more or less fucked. But I'll go into that a little bit later. I am going to slip back into a little bit of music here, because this topic is pretty heavy. And I do want to have some examples of this stuff ready for you guys. So throw your thoughts in. We'll address them during the next music break, and we'll go ahead and get a set of 3 going. right, and we're back. So, a good discussion in chat so far. One of the things that I did want to talk about is equality of outcome versus equality of opportunity. This is a concept that not a whole lot of people understand, so I'm going to kind of break it down in its simplest form. Equality of outcome essentially means that if you put everybody through the same system, then they should all wind up in the exact same place. This is something that the left actually tries to push, that essentially is absolute lunacy because it takes the individual out of the equation. I'm sure everybody here has known friends that were, not the best academically or even athletically. I mean, there are just some nerds who could never don football or hockey equipment. And in the same stroke, you've got these people who will, never be doctors or rocket scientists. But the left's theory is that if you expose them to enough of the same thing, that they'll just eventually, pick it up and learn it. And honestly, this isn't something that's exclusively done by the left. There was, as a matter of fact, an act Bush pushed through called No Child Left Behind, which is one of the single dumbest policies that has ever graced the American public education system, where we can no longer hold kids back because it hurts their feelies. We've got to give everybody the same participation trophy, and the concept of failing that never enters into the equation. And honestly, for a bunch of gamers, we should understand one core concept. If there's no risk of failure, the game is not worth playing. Right? Just to kind of put this in our terms. If you're guaranteed to win, how interesting is the game really? How long is it going to keep your attention? Equality of opportunity is actually what's important. And really what this means is that everybody has the chance to get to the same place. The chance. And your individual merit is what is super important to this. So everybody should have access to public schooling. Everybody should have access to the things that will help you out along the way. And that's why things like scholarships exist for different disparate groups to help get them into college. Now, obviously, not everybody's going to get there. Sometimes it takes a couple of generations of hard work. And that's just kind of the way it goes. The people who founded this country understood that a meritocracy was really the way to go. You reward individuals based on their merit, not their skin color or their reproductive dangly bits. And it is something that we've started to get away from as a country, and it is going to fuck us in the long run. And honestly, I shouldn't even say that. It's not even as a country, because this shit happens in Canada and Europe as well. If a black guy runs up to me and calls me a honky or a cracker or whatever the fuck else, it's explained away as culture. But if I run around like I'm Bruce Willis in Die Hard 2 with a sign on my chest in the middle of Harlem that contains some racial slurs on it, I'm going to get fucking shot. And the primary fucking difference between the two, and this is actually what should piss everybody the fuck off, is if I got shot in Compton or Harlem for wearing a sign like that, it would be expected that I would die. Because I'm being a fucking idiot. But on the other end of that, it's perfectly fucking acceptable because of some shit that happened 200 years ago. Your ancestors got defeated in a tribal war in Africa, placed in chains by a black warlord, sold to Jewish ship merchants, and then brought to an entirely different country as property. But we're the ones to blame. That being said, I don't actually understand why there aren't more black Republicans. It's Democrats that wanted to keep you in shackles, and it was the party of Lincoln that freed your ass. Just saying.
Hang on, buddy.
So sick of the hobos, always begging for change. I don't like how I gotta work and they just sit around and get paid. I hate all of the people who can't drive their cars, but you better get out of the way before I start falling apart. She always wants to buy brand new things, but I don't have the cash. I hate my job, all of my rich friends. I hate everyone to the bitter end. Nothing turns out right, there's no end in sight. I hate my life. How come I never get laid? Nice guys always lose. How could she have another headache? There's always some kind of excuse. I still hate my job. My boss is a dick. I don't get paid nearly enough to put up with all of your shit. I hate my job, all of my rich friends. I hate everyone to the bitter end. Nothing turns out right, there's no end in sight. I hate my life. Yeah. I hate that I can't tell when a girl's underage. You know I tell her she's a nice piece of ass, then her daddy punches me in the face. So if you're pissed like me, bitches is what you gotta do. Put your middle fingers out for the air. Go on and say fuck you. I hate my job, all of my rich friends. I hate everyone to the bitter end. Nothing turns out right, there's no end in sight. I hate my life. So much at stake, can't catch a break. I hate my life. No, it's nothing new. It sucks to be you. I fucking hate my life. Fuck.
Who's to know if your soul will fade at all? The one you sold to fool the world. You lost your self-esteem along the way. Yeah. Good God, you're coming up with reasons. Good God, you're dragging it out. And good God, it's the changing of the seasons. I feel so raped. So follow me down and just fake it if you're out of direction. Fake it if you don't belong here. Fake it if you feel like affection. Whoa, you're such an hypocrite. You should know that the lies won't hide your flaws. No sense in hiding all of yours. You gave up on your dreams along the way. Yeah. Good God, you're coming up with reasons. Good God, you're dragging it out. And good God, it's the changing of the seasons. I feel so raped. So follow me down and just fake it if you're out of direction. Fake it if you don't belong here. Fake it if you feel like affection. Whoa, you're such an hypocrite. I can fake with the best of anyone. I can fake with the best of them all. I can fake with the best of anyone. I can fake it all. Who's to know if your soul will fade at all? The one you sold to fool the world. You lost your self-esteem along the way. Yeah!
Good God, you're coming up with reasons. Good God, you're dragging it out. Good God, it's the changing of the seasons. I feel so right, man, follow me down. Just fake it if you're out of direction. Fake it if you don't belong here. Fake it if you feel like affection. Whoa, you're such an hypocrite. Fake it if you're out of direction. Fake it if you don't belong here. Fake it if you feel like affection. Whoa, you're such an hypocrite. In the morning, not a soul in sight. The city's looking like a ghost town on a moonless summer night. Raindrops on the windshield as the storm moving in. He's heading back from somewhere that he never should have been. And the thunder rolls. And the thunder rolls. Every light is burning in a house across town. She's pacing by the telephone in her faded flannel gown, asking for a miracle, hoping she's not right, and praying it's the weather that's kept him out all night. And the thunder rolls. And the thunder rolls. The thunder rolls. And the lightning strikes. And the love grows cold on a sleepless night. As the storm blows on out of control. And deep in her heart, the thunder rolls. She's waiting by the window when he pulls into the drive. She rushes out to hold him, thankful he's alive. But on the wind and rain, a strange new perfume blows. And
All right, I've got to jump in here because at this point, this is the difficulty that I have talking to anybody that's on the far left. They believe so vehemently that anybody who doesn't subscribe to their philosophy is some far right sort of person, and it gets so fucking irritating having to defend this. I'm not some deep evangelical Christian. I believe in data. And what data shows me is that if you keep people in poverty and you keep giving them government handouts and you don't fucking give them the skills to take care of themselves or their fucking families, they're going to be constantly relying on an expanding government to keep giving you money, keep you stupid and dependent on them. You can't give people shit for free and expect them to take care of themselves. It's not going to fucking happen. That's why the lower class is growing. The middle class is shrinking because we don't have shit like vocational schools anymore. People that will teach you a trade. Any idiot can be an electrician or a fucking plumber if you give them the path to do it. You can't just keep throwing them money and telling them to pop out kids in the black community, so what? Half of them can end up in fucking prison 10 times in their life? The fuck do you think is going to happen if you keep giving people shit for free? You can't do that. This country was built by people who understood the value of hard fucking work. We can't sit and support a population of people that do nothing. Because you know what happens when this country actually collapses? You've got half to 3/4 of this population that doesn't have the skills to fucking survive. They're just gonna die. It's going to turn into Uganda and Rhodesia where everybody's fighting over scraps of food. You actually did something that I told myself I would never actually do on this program, and you got me to stop a song mid-fucking stride to go on a rant. I covered this, I believe it was last Friday, when we were looking at the decline of Rome. Okay? You start out with a small group of people that live off of government money, and that causes tax rates to increase, which pinches out the fringe group on the borderline between poverty and middle class. So they wind up on welfare. You turn around and expand the program again, which increases taxes again. Yes, absolutely, I believe that the United States is going to collapse that extremely. Every empire falls. Every last one of them. The United States is not some history-breaking entity that is going to survive for 20,000 years because we have good ideas. Every empire falls. Britain fell. Rome fell. Russia fell. Mongolia fell. All of them fell because eventually they get so goddamn big they can't sustain themselves. Yes, it's going to happen. I mean, it might not be to the point where we're, the Congo or Zimbabwe, but we'll definitely slink to a point where Russia was 20 years ago. I'm putting on music.
Personified, and I will drag you down and sell you out. Run away. I am cold like December snow. I have carved out this soul made of stone, and I will drag you down and sell you out. Embraced by the darkness, I'm losing the light in circles.
And we're back. Alright, I've calmed down a little bit. Hopefully we're not going to have any more extreme outbursts here, lest somebody accuse me of being far left at this point. That would send me to just as much of a frenzy, I suppose. Interesting that we went from gender roles over to more or less the differences between liberals, conservatives, and centrists and libertarians on a fundamental view of how this nation is supposed to work. It just goes to show that all of this stuff is tied together. I can't, and this is gonna go off of some things that are being said in chat here, so I apologize if you can't see it if you're one of the people listening through YouTube. It's being argued that this all started with a question of what do I believe that the federal government's responsibility is in essentially the formation of the United States. And really, I'm just going to kind of repeat what I said. It's national defense, some regulation to prevent some corruption and abuse. And I suppose I can agree with something that Ryu said, and the protection of private property. I can understand that. Basic Bill of Rights stuff, right? Past that, the states really should be determining what it is that they want to do. If the psychotic left wants to take over California and make that a liberal paradise, by all means, knock yourself out. If Texas wants to be the evangelical center of the world, then by all means, knock yourself out, as long as you know you've got the votes to get crap through your state Congress and whatnot, then by all means you should have that right. It is being argued that the Civil War sort of smashed the concepts of all of this stuff. And I just can't actually wrap my head around that. Fundamentally, because secession removes you from the Union. It doesn't keep you it doesn't keep you invested in the actual country. So obviously there was some bullshit going on there. I mean, we can... And Rain jokes, but the number of times I get called a damn Nazi when I start talking about politics numbers up into like the hundreds of thousands at this point. Never mind that I'm actually something like 85% German, blonde hair, blue eyes, and I shaved my head, so I really fucking look the part. So I've just sort of gotten immune to the whole Nazi thing. It's... God, I don't even... There's so much here. I don't even know what direction to go. And I'm not normally at a loss for words like this, but the way that I fundamentally see how the United States should be run is somebody mentioned social contract earlier. So if you think about it, social contract is stronger and stronger and stronger the more local you go on like a municipality scale. So it should be weakest at the top, and then by the time you get down to where you're talking about things like city ordinances, that should really be fine-tuned to wherever it is, in fact, that you're living, right? So, and I'll just take some places that I've lived, for example. I have lived, and I'll kind of give everybody here a little roadmap of where it is I've lived in my life. So I spent the earliest parts of my years in Des Moines, Iowa, moved out to Denver, Colorado, and from Denver, Colorado, it was Sacramento, and then Los Angeles, both for about 6 months apiece. And Jesus help me, I will never, ever, and I say that not being religious at all, but Jesus help me, I will never, ever go back to California. That place is a tremendous shithole. So from California, went back to Denver, back to Iowa, back to Denver, Tennessee, and now Georgia. So I've literally done the coast-to-coast thing across the entire United States. I've seen a lot of different shit, and a lot of different states. And let me assure you that in no two places have I ever lived were the people the same, were the laws the same. Like, nothing was fundamentally the same. Not even in Sacramento and LA were they the same. Like, none of it. And so you can't have somebody in, for example, Maryland making laws that would affect Oregon. That doesn't make sense. Why? Or why would you want somebody from across the entire nation to determine that? And honestly, let's go back and look at the Trump and Hillary race from 2016. Like, everybody likes to laugh. And Forgate sent me a video that kind of reminded me of the hilarity that was that clown fiesta of a presidential election. Like, the truth of the matter is, the only reason Trump won is because the party kind of fucked over Sanders. I honestly think Sanders probably would have taken it if, the Democratic National Convention hadn't fucked Bernie out of his superdelegates or whatever the fuck it was. Which, to me, is just insane. Like, to think that we would have actually had a deep socialist president if the party itself wasn't corrupt. Like, it's crazy to think about. But that being said, you've still got the old argument with the presidential election, right? Why should California or Texas or North Carolina, or honestly the big three, which is Ohio, Florida, and Pennsylvania? That's right. Those are the three that wind up deciding that have decided every single election since I believe it's 1928. I'd have to go back and check my history, but like those three states, whenever 2 out of 3 of them are the same color, that president gets it, whoever it is. And it's been that way with both Democrats and Republicans. But that being said, I don't want some psychotic from New York determining shit that I am doing elsewhere in the country. I don't want some snake lizard lady from wherever the fuck it is she's from determining what I do. And that's the fundamental problem with a strong central government. We have hundreds of millions of people being told what to do by one person. And that, to me, is absolute fucking insanity. States have always, or should have always, been able to create their own bylaws, which are, in theory, you have the Constitution. It's supposed to be it's the law of the land, but it's done in such a way, it just says, hey, we guarantee these fundamental rights. Everything else, all of you individual states, y'all figure this shit the fuck out. And over the 250 years or whatever it's been, that's been stripped away a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, to now, fucking, we've got Bush, Obama, and Trump all passing shit via executive order. Executive fucking order. And they wish things into existence, like the Affordable Care Act and the Patriot Act and all of these other acts that fundamentally change how this whole country works, because one guy got a bunch of his political allies together and said, hey, we're going to do this shit literally in the dead of night when everybody else is asleep, and we'll have a fantastic laugh over it in the morning. That should never have happened. Should never have happened. Executive orders should have only ever been for national defense purposes. That's it. That's what they were supposed to be for. Yet we've pissed away so many of our rights over the last 250 years that now we have a bunch of oligarchs in Washington that run everything. And people think I'm crazy.
what you want. I'm not the only one.
And the rain will kill us all. Throw ourselves against the wall, but no one else can see the preservation of the martyr in me. And the rain will kill us all. We throw ourselves against the wall, but no one else can see the preservation of the martyr in me.
The limits of the dead. The limits of the dead.
I thank you for all the lives you've led. I thank you for every word you said. I thank you for walking the line. I thank you for the promises you made. For always watching my nights out. I thank you for teaching me. Yes, I thank you for your hurting. I fight down in the heart of my place and in the shop of my roots run deep.
All right, welcome back as we close this out for the night. We got about 13 minutes left before we call it quits. So we're going to switch back into kind of what we were talking about earlier, which is sort of gender roles in modern society, equality of outcome, equality of opportunity, all that fantastic stuff. I mean, I call it gender roles, but there's other things in there as well, racial roles. I would actually have to search for the article, but I did see something earlier today where scientists have successfully linked intelligence to genetics, and this is something that came out. I'll be entirely honest, I don't know if this was some like Onion post or not, so I don't really want to get into it because I didn't read it all that much. So I couldn't tell if the language was actually intentionally facetious or not, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of research on that. So, fundamentally, what I would have to ask people is, first of all, do you believe in equality? And I mean this across all genders and all races. If you believe in equality, fundamentally, you cannot say that, and when I say equality, I'm talking about things like rights, okay? Not, is every single person in the world made the exact same? If that was the case, we'd all have serial numbers. But do you believe that men and women should, in fact, have equal rights? And if you do, are you one of these people that believes that we need to overhaul the family court system, where, drug-addled moms who can't take care of their kids, all they have to do is show up and say, hi, I'm mom, and they win custody over the father who desperately wants his kids and is making six figures, and, mom's fucking unemployed? Do you believe that... And for those of you who are aware of the non-aggression principle, obviously, I mean, you don't fucking hurt other people. Don't be a piece of shit. But are you one of those people that believes if a woman walks up to a guy and starts flailing her fucking arms at him and swinging at his face, that she deserves to get knocked the fuck out? You want to walk like a man and talk like a man, you can get your ass knocked out like one. Are you, in fact, one of those people? Do you believe that your reproductive bits shouldn't actually hold any sway whatsoever in terms of you moving up or moving down? If you answered no to any of those, well, I hate to break it to you, you're not actually you're not actually for equality. You exist to have gender roles in society that are protected by certain laws. Fundamentally, I'm not one of those people. I don't believe any roles should exist. People should live to do their own thing. And this will kind of go back to what we were talking about earlier, but if you live in a state that, if you're a woman that lives in a state and the state tells you, your only job is to spread your legs and pop kids out and take care of the house, and you don't want to be there, well, get the fuck up and move. That's what all of this was supposed to be in the first place. I certainly don't believe that myself, so don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But I do believe in absolute equality, absolute meritocracy. If you are some shitter that never committed to anything in your fucking life and you think that I'm going to walk into a doctor's office with your name on it, you are out of your goddamn mind. Anybody, that should, honest to God, terrify everyone. I don't want to walk into a doctor's office, see a diploma on the wall, and the first thing that goes through my mind should not be, did you get through on diversity, or did you actually know what you were doing? Right? There's certain things that we as people don't fundamentally care about. Things that aren't as important, but things like doctors. I don't want to think that the car that I'm driving was put together by people who, got D's in engineering and then, passed because, you're a better diversity hire down the road. That sort of shit scares me. It should scare anyone. Equality of outcome is the single most phenomenally stupid idea, because it honestly believes that all people are the same, and they're not. Ethnically, culturally, racially, none of us are the same, and we never will be. So please get these crazy-ass thoughts out of your head. If people were the same, you'd have just as many white guys in the NBA as you have black guys. But we're not. We don't play basketball nearly as well as the brothers do. And, you know, you can come up with any scientific reason in the world, but it's just the truth. I am mad. I'm never going to be some point guard for the Chicago Bulls. I ain't mad. I'll find something else. So as we close this out tonight, I want to go ahead and remind everybody that coming up here this weekend, and again, we're going to talk to the staff a little bit and figure out exactly what day we're going to do this on. And I promise we'll keep the politics out of it. It'll just be nerds drinking and having fun and hopefully not trying to rip each other's heads off because they accuse Janos of being a Nazi or a social justice warrior. And again, we'll have to figure out whether we're going to do this Friday or Saturday, but we are going to have another little get-together here. Hopefully it'll be drinking and me not playing VR chat this time because that was a horrific experience that I never want to ever do again. But yeah, that'll be, look for the announcement a little bit later in the week. And Andrew, I don't know, did you end up raffling off that Galantine? If so, whoever got it, congratulations, good on you. I'm jealous. I actually kind of wanted to get in on that, but I had this to do. So we'll go ahead and close it out here with a couple of songs, and thank you all for showing up. I hope the conversation was interesting. If you have any ideas for a show, please shoot me a DM. I'm always open to feedback. Did you like what you heard? Did you hate what you heard? Tell me. I'm always open to feedback. This show is for you guys, and I want to keep people coming back as often as they can. So get in on this. Shoot me your feedback. Let me know what you think. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and close it out. You guys have a wonderful rest of your Monday evening, and mahalo.
The prophecy is upon us.